Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, we're here to talk about the truth about cap breakers in NBA 2K26. So, I hope y'all enjoy the video. If you do, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff. And like always, try to 1 to 1,000 likes, maybe 2,000 on this one as well. This is some big information, and first off, I do have to say shout out to 2K for allowing me to get on this early access content creator tip-off that we have going on today to get the game 24 hours early. Now, with that information, I decided to go ahead and just buy all the way on the level 40 season pass. Now, you're gonna think that I did it for myself, but I really did it for this video in specific. I want to show us what you can do with cap breakers, and at level 40, you get 1 cap breaker. So it's the one that we could access in terms of being able to actually unlock this screen right here. So, in today's video, I have a couple of my builds that I've showcased from the community day that I was able to get early access on that as well to be able to get on the game. And what I want to do is take you through a couple of them and show you the truth about cap breakers in 2K26. Okay, so to start us off, I have a lot of science that I've been kind of testing here a little bit, and I'm not going to have the full explanation to you. I'm going to be like completely straight up honest that I don't know the full 100% truth about cap breakers, right? But I do have a lot of science that I want to show you in terms of figuring out the system a little bit. So on this screenshot right here, as you can see, we have a lot of key attributes, and I just wanted to show you this. Think of it as like a magic trick, I guess, kind of, but with no deception. So I'm gonna explain to you how my magic trick works, right? So I have wrote down a lot of numbers of these, like the free throw, for instance, the here I'll tell you, the O board, pass act, standing dunk, post control, interior D, how much 1 cap break point will give me in all of those attributes. And then what I've done is come to the builder, and now I want to show you this just as a means of like allowing you to see it. So again, remind you, this is what I was supposed to get on every single cap break point for all of these attributes. But instead, now, using 3 free throw as the benchmark, because now you can see my build is maxed out, right? Hypothetically, if that was supposed to be the case, I should be able to get, and let's come back to it real quick, I should be able to get plus 13 offensive rebound with that same amount of points if my theory was true and it actually worked that way. But as you can see, that's not going to be the case. I get 1 interior defense at the cost of the 3 free throw when my theory was I was supposed to get like 4, essentially. So that science doesn't work. Offensive rebound, you could say the same for that too. I was supposed to get, as my notes say, 13 extra offensive rebound, but instead, all I got was plus 4 or something like that, as you can see. So at the same exact cost of 3 free throw came 4 offensive rebound, when the cap break itself would have been worth 13 toward that offensive rebound. So again, that is a little bit of inside knowledge on the science of this stuff, is that it's not going to be a direct value in the builder as opposed to what it would be in that cap break screen. So a lot of this is going to have to be figuring out and fine-tuning things if you want to make the absolute best value out of your cap breakers in 2K26. Now, it's a little bit annoying, to be real with y'all. I'm not really looking forward to that because you're going to have to finalize a build, go into it, be like, oh, how many points do I get off the cap break if I have 76 speed with ball versus 75? Do I get, 5 more cap break points, or do I get like, 4 if I went 76? Or like, I guess what I'm trying to say is you could like fine-tune things and be like, oh, if I'm going to get a plus 5 cap break off, if I have 76 speed with ball versus if I get a plus 5 cap break even still if I have 75, I might as well go 76, and then that plus 5 will still be, more attributes at a technically cheaper cost. And that might apply to even more things as far as like the cost value. So standing dunk, for instance, I was supposed to go up, let's say, plus 11. This is even more still an example. I actually moved this up a little bit just so I could have it like click to a 99 overall officially for when I had the free throw at, plus 3. But even still, when I give it that grace a little bit, I'm only going up plus 6 on standing dunk compared to the 45 I started with. And my theory was that it should be going up plus 11. So that is not a thing. It's not going to be a direct, correlation in terms of the cost that it would cost in the builder versus what it gives you as the cap break points in the actual, cap breaker screen. Now, what I do also want to show you, and is really cool, and when I saw the screenshot of how the cap breakers were going to work, it showed a build that had 25 3-point, and that the cap breakers were going plus 1 3-point even still. So I was like, oh, that's kind of tough. You can't turn like a pure inside into like a somewhat shooter with like 5 cap break points. Well, turns out on this build, as you can see, here are the maxes and stuff like that, or like just in general, the build that it has as far as how I created it, right? 6'8 slasher, a little bit modified from what I posted on the community day build for those that are curious. But if you were to put plus 5 cap breaks on 3-pointer on a build with 25 3, All right, I had to make a little cut. My quick math is not exactly perfect, but you turn 25 from +9, +8, +7, +7, and then +6. It's a 62 rating after that. So 5 cap breaks on a pure inside 25 3-point build moves it all the way up to 62 for a grand total of 36 extra attributes in that category for the cost of 5. So I think what I'm really trying to get at with you guys with this video is that I do want to say that while the science isn't exactly perfectly figured out yet or anything like that, I did also want to just say that this is a clean thing from 2K. I really do appreciate something like this because now on a build like this slasher, for instance, if I were to want to fine tune it so perfectly to be able to be utilized for cap breaks perfectly, I would have had to really like make it be a build I didn't necessarily want to use on day one, is kind of how I'm getting at, right? Like, essentially, if I made a build with 96 driving dunk and 85 vertical, I would have to put my vertical up even higher just to make it where it's like then my collective 5 points that I use on the cap breaks of moving my dunk from 96 to 99 and then matching the vertical to hit also 90, stuff like that. It's not good value, essentially, is what I'm getting at. And stuff like that would be really frustrating as far as making a day one build, in my personal opinion. Now, again, this is a lot of complicated stuff as far as my explanation, so I apologize if that's not like the perfect example or anything like that. But I guess what I'm really also getting at too is that like there's not a lot of great cap breaks to put on a build like this. I've already fine-tuned it a lot as far as like the things that I want out of it, as far as the takeovers I get, the animations I get, you know, the badges and stuff like that. To just have something that I can randomly just throw 5 cap breakers on and all of a sudden my 3-point has now moved from, you know, 25 to plus 36. That's we already said it, 61. I think that's really clean. Not to mention, to get a 61 3-pointer while also having 33 mid-range is technically some cheese. It's some real big cheese, because if you move your 3-point up that much, it's supposed to tether your mid-range with it at least a little bit. So all of these things considered, I do think the cap break system should be very user-friendly in comparison to last year's, especially, is what I'm trying to get at here. Because things like this existing on your build is pretty nice. Now, I understand this is a little bit biased for me as a pure slasher, for instance, that I could do something like this. Or for me, the +8 free throw might actually be a decent play because I don't want, if let's say I wanted to stay as a pure inside, right? It sounds so dumb to use a cap break on free throw. I'm just using an example of like if I made this exact build but didn't factor in cap breaks, and if I screwed it up essentially of not planning for the future. It's cool that I have things that I actually could fall back on, as opposed to last year. If I were to quote unquote cap break my free throw, it's just going to go from 58 to 59, then 59 to 60, and it's going to be flat rate, completely useless stuff, because why would I do that as opposed to like +1 dunk if I'm just going to get a +1 free throw instead? In this case, you can actually get some, you know, use out of this stuff, is kind of my take on things. So I think this should be fun. I think it's useful. I think it's going to save a lot of builds in terms of like making it a little bit more malleable, if you get what I'm saying, in terms of like allowing you to adapt to the build that you already decided to create. But for those of you that want to fine tune the cap breakers like absolutely crazy and just, you know, whittle away at the things and get the best value you possibly can out of a brand new build, it's going to take a lot of labbing, because what you're going to have to do is come out to this menu and stuff like that every time. Now, maybe we can kind of, you know, haggle with 2K a little bit and request that they actually change something like that, because I think it'd be great if you could be in the builder and actually just, you know, custom look at it. And to be fair, I haven't even looked at it yet, so I'll give that a look once we detail this two-way sharp right here, or the shooting guard build that I have. But just wanted to pull up another example of something you could utilize, like for instance the standing dunk or the driving dunk, you know, going from 65 into like the 75 range or something like that. If you decided that something like a Devin Booker dunk package that you weren't aware of at the time can now be, you know, achieved, stuff like that. Things that are in the 80s though, they don't seem to budge too much. Like let's see if we can find an 80s rating anywhere that like actually is anything but a +1, and I don't think that's the case. Like as you can see, we have agility, speed, perimeter defense, steal, all this is +1. We have mid-range that's 83, and that's a +1. Even the ball handle at 81 exactly is still a +1. So I guess essentially what I'm trying to get at here is maybe the best value is going to be hidden in either A, the ability to like raise ratings that are super low, like you're absolutely like, you know, left in the dust animations, or to be used fine-tuned perfect as much as you can. Like for instance, the high rating things like a perimeter defense is way worth a +1 in comparison to the idea of like moving your ball handle from like 81 to 82. The value in the builder would tell you that moving this right here from 92 to 93 is going to be way more expensive than it would be for you to move 81 to 82. And there will be even better builds, like, to, you know, mention that. Obviously, this is more in reference to like last year's cap breaks, for instance, is like if you made a build with 94 3-pointer, but the maximum could hit 99, you could just use 5 cap break points on that, and it'd be great value in the builder. Now, this build has a maximum 3-pointer of 93. The weight, wingspan, you know, height and all that stuff, that's the most the build could achieve. So I know a lot of y'all are familiar with this concept, but I wanted to explain this for the new people and stuff like that too. If you make a build that has a maximum 3-pointer of 93, you cannot put any cap breaks on it. That's why there's locks on this, and there's not locks on, like, for instance, my perimeter defense. The build itself could get all the way up to that 97 perimeter defense. However, this build couldn't get anything more than a 93 3-pointer because of the weight, wingspan, height, and all that. Well, not that weight makes a difference, but you get what I'm saying. The height and wingspan that I put on the build maxes out at 93. So, anyway, let's go ahead and check that out, though. I want to see if now that I have a cap breaker and I can hit the builder, if I'm able to apply cap breakers in the builder. But I highly, highly doubt it. So we can just give it a test, I suppose. But like I said, I highly doubt it. So I'll just make a cut to wherever I, you know, come to that conclusion. Okay, so just want to have you guys as my witness a little bit for a lot of the stuff that I'm finding out, right? Because I don't want to, like, you know, leave something out and then someone ends up finding out that I just missed it. But yeah, in the HUD, nothing really talking about, like, you know, cap breakers here with the build by badges or badges or anything like that. And then if we lock in the build right here, I think the only way that this could possibly be a thing is if we went to like the test build. So I will try that at the very least, but like I told y'all, I don't think it's gonna work like that because editing goes right back to the same screen. Advanced is exactly what I'm talking about, where if we're sweating, we're just gonna have to hop in the build, find out how many points are actually being achieved with the cap breaker, and then fine tune the build over and over and over and over again. I'm thinking it'd be great if we didn't have to do that. But anyway, I suspect that it wasn't gonna be the case. Like, you can move your overall and stuff like that in the test build. You can quick test, it's just going to be 99 overall and just throw the things on for you. But yeah, I don't know. Looks like you are truly just going to have to sweat it out if you're trying to find the most optimal way to use your cap breakers. So once again, another thing that YouTube videos will be useful for is trying to find that exact min-max of like those types of things for builds optimized for cap breakers. But again, I do want to just remind you guys one more time, the point is of this video in a positive way of this cap breaker system is the, you know, usage of that peer inside big that I was talking about. And not even a big, it's more like the 6'8" that I have. But like this really is a beautiful thing, and I'm biased very much so because I am someone that puts absolutely nothing on the build style, and then it could be changed in terms of its utilization instantly just off the fact that you could put 5 cap breakers on it. But I really do think it's a beautiful thing that when I run out of anything that's worth doing, like if I'm like, well, two defensive rebound isn't useful. I already min-maxed my build to, like, you know, have everything I want for the finishing and stuff, so that's not even gonna be possible either. I'll probably find like a usage of 3 driving dunk right here to put it to 96, but that's all, honestly. Like, and by the time that we get +5 cap breakers, or even just +1, +2, something like that, could be nice. Maybe you can move your 63-point build to around like 68 or something like that, 70. I guess really what I'm trying to say is that this system can still patch up builds that were lacking things that maybe it needed, like for instance a post go-to shot that you missed out on and they were in the 60s. Boom, instead of like last year you would only go up from 56 to 57, it's completely void, you can't even see that as an option. Now you could actually achieve those, like, you know, attribute caps that you need or something like that. Or if you were someone that on your lockdown, I know this is going to be a thing. I absolutely know this is going to be a thing. There's going to be locks out there that made their build with 89 speed. The tether puts your speed with ball to 74 on that. And then you're going to be someone that missed out on that. And, you know, in reference to how cap breakers even still could have worked last year, you could still put your cap break on speed with ball. And now all of a sudden you have 75 to get that Zach LaVine dribble style because you see other people were hooping with it and you missed out on it. So anyway, my whole point here is that this is a good system. I'm happy that it's something like that, because when I saw that screenshot of, for instance, someone's 3-pointer being 25, but then the cap break would only go up +1, I thought that was kind of dumb. Let me see if I can find that for y'all too, because I know it existed. Okay, yeah, so here you go. I saw this and I was a little bit turned off by it because I saw, for instance, it's a +1 on everything as far as like a 26 3-point build got +1 3-pointer, +1 3-pointer, +1 3-pointer. This type of static movement that I didn't think would be fun, I thought it was kind of dumb. Also, by the way, shout out to one rating that we finally just saw that's in the 80s that you can actually move up +2 instead of +1. So hey, finally saw something that's like that. But anyway, point being, there's a system behind this and we still have to figure it out. I just wanted to put y'all onto a couple key tips and then also my take on it as well, of like, is this a good thing, is it a bad thing? I think it's good. I think this is a good system for the cap breaks. I think it saves a lot of mediocre bad builds that are missing out on something that they maybe will be able to achieve, and saves you from the fact that you don't have a ton of min-maxed value in your build remaining off those final cap breaks of putting like dunk from 93 to 96 or something like that. Instead, being able to use it in lower things that, as you can see, aren't possible right here. However, you know, as we go back to this, is possible now that they have changed it. They must have taken someone's advice. I didn't say anything about this, but like, I'm happy that they did change it. But yeah, I don't know. This is cool. This is definitely cool. Anyway, that's all video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. And like always, try this one to 1,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put value in the comments, show support me all the way through. But anyway, that's all. Hope you all enjoyed. And stay tuned for more videos that we got dropping today, obviously. This is just something I wanted to do for the sake of helping with like future build videos and stuff that I'll probably be making and reference this one. And then on top of that, just help you understand how the cap breaks can work for yourself. At least a little bit. I wanted to give a couple examples. But anyway, that's all video. Hope you all enjoyed. And that, take it easy, man. Peace.